Hey, our first guest tonight, as mentioned, was Jaren Hall's favorite professor at BYU, which is a lot. It was pretty cool because he was here for 4 years, graduated, and he had a lot of professors. And I read about that in the Utah Valley Magazine. He's also an associate professor in the Department of Church History and Doctrine. Been teaching at BYU since 2010. He's got a lot of other things going on too. We'll describe in a moment. But it's our pleasure to welcome Dr. Mark Ogletree to the Wise Guys. We've been waiting a long time for you to be here, and here on Thanksgiving week, you're here. Welcome.
This is incredible. Guys, what a setup. I had no idea you were both barefooted. I love this.
So that's
hey, Blaine had pants on.
It's a kind of a thing. I usually wear shorts.
I'm glad he has pants on.
People have actually, when there's a certain shot, but I've never worn shoes on this show.
I think you should keep that streak going.
And people are like, what are you going to do when the winter comes? And I go, I'm taking my shoes off at the door. I'm not going to wear shoes on this show.
We don't wear ties on this show either. Now, your son Brandon's been on this show. He played middle linebacker at BYU, was among the best the Cougars have had back there. What did you learn about yourself and as a parent as you watched him from the stands playing on such a big stage?
You know, it was really interesting, Dave. In high school, I just didn't worry about anything, right? I mean, he was just out there as a dominant player, super fun to watch him. But at this level, in college, it was so different. I felt more like an anxious parent on every play, just wondering and hoping that he wouldn't, have a season-ending injury or something like that.
Is it more of a worry of getting hurt or of not being there to make the tackle where he's supposed to be? Where were you at on that?
I worried more about the hurt.
Yeah.
It's such a dangerous position, right? I mean, you're right in the middle of everything, ramming your head in there, grabbing for whatever you can grab.
And he's not 6'7", He was tough, just a keg of dynamite as a player. But, I was wondering what that would be like for you to, it's such a collision sport to have him right there.
Yeah.
Are you glad? Like, Brenda and I talked a lot. Brenda's my wife. I think everybody knows that out there. Here we refer to her. Our boys all played quarterback in high school, and they got recruited by BYU, and they all moved to defense. And we were just relieved that they were in defense because we felt like, well, at least they're initiating the contact over there. But we're the same as you. We watched every game holding our breath, just hoping they'd get out of there without getting hurt. I think it's different when you got a quarterback out there because everybody's waiting for you to throw a pick six and talk about it for a week, right? So did you feel that way? Like, Brandon's a little bit safer because he's initiating contact and not getting hit.
Yeah, he's so good that way. I mean, I still remember one game where at Utah State, remember Robert Turbin?
Oh, yeah.
First play of the game, he goes right through the gap where Brandon was supposed to be, and they asked Brandon about that. I mean, he runs for like an 80-yard touchdown, and I just thought, oh man, I felt so bad for Brando. And then at the end of the game, but when they asked him about it, he said, no, you have to let that go. You have to let it go. And I'm like, this guy's more mature than I am. I would have been devastated for the last week, but he was ready to make the next play.
We called that game, and I remember him going 80 yards. And we're like, are you kidding me right now? But Utah State was on fire.
And Utah State had a run of really good backs back.
But now that Brandon's out of football, do you watch football differently?
Yeah.
How so?
You can be more of a fan again, versus a parent, You're always worried that, what if he messes up? What if you're sitting next to someone in the stands and they're yelling at your kid, right, or something like that? That happens
because he threw a 100-yard interception at a big moment or things like that.
Yeah. So now you can relax again a little bit. It's more enjoyable.
Do you analyze it? Do you ever get with Brandon and talk about, hey, what'd you think of that? What'd you think of this? And you guys break the game down together like the old days? Do you do that ever anymore?
All the time. I mean, because he sees, as you guys do, right? He sees things that I never even could recognize.
Yeah.
And he's watching, 12 or 13 things at the same time where I'm seeing one or two, So it's always fun to say to him, what's going on? What are you seeing? And he always has a great analytical take on it.
With your job on campus, a lot of these student athletes come through your classroom. And Jaren was one of them we've been talking about, but they all come through. Over the years, have you noticed a correlation with the way a student athlete interacts with you and with your class to how he or she performs in her sport?
In some ways, yeah. I mean, one of the cool things for me, guys, I was following BYU football before I was even a member of the church. In fact, the day that I found out, Blaine will appreciate this, that Jim McMahon wasn't a member, I was shocked. I was like, what the heck? I thought he was like related to the Osmonds or something. But
that's because you were in Texas.
That's right. So almost every player that you just mentioned that's in the pros has been in my classroom.
Yeah.
And have loved that. In fact, when Jamal was going through the draft process, they made a like a 30-minute video segment with my relationship with him. Super cool. So for someone who's been a fan for so long, to be sitting in the classroom with those young men, and then I walk out and say, this is why I'm a fan of BYU Sports, because in almost every case, they're stellar. They make great comments. They care about people. They're rooted in the gospel in a deep way. And you see that leadership carry out on the field, in the way that they conduct themselves in interviews and in other ways.
Dr. Mark Ogletree on the Wise Guys with us tonight, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, wiseguys.com. He's a BYU grad, convert to the church, a doctorate in family and human development, along with a master's degree in mental health counseling and educational psychology. So
you're the smartest guy that's ever been on the show.
Yeah,
No,
I'm trying
not
to
even
think.
close.
Have we had any rocket scientists on here? No, we haven't.
No, we've had people flying rockets, but not.
Yeah, we've had astronaut on
And
here.
Clark Heyman, right? Isn't
Yeah,
Clark
Clark
Yeah,
flies
that's right. We've had him on there.
F-35.
one of my former students as well.
And
Is that
Clark's
right?
brilliant. Clark's brilliant as well.
He's
right?
our insider. What kind of student was Clark?
Awesome.
Because now, he's flying bazillion-dollar jets, or
yeah.
has been.
It's no surprise. Yeah, Clark was awesome.
Yeah.
Stellar.
I think you had my oldest Kellen in class.
I may have,
They
yeah.
started at free safety for a couple years here. So, yeah,
Did you have Keaton
we had
in?
Kellen on the show.
Did Keaton come through?
No.
Slovis, or is Retzlaff? Has Retzlaff come through?
Yes. So here's the cool thing about Jake.
Okay.
Jake was in my class last spring.
All right.
He's in my class right now, another class I teach. I play softball. I refuse to quit until I'm like 70.
Nor should you.
So Jake is our shortstop. So Jake played on our softball team. So I love Jake, and great athlete.
What did you think of his game the other day?
I think Jake's a competitor. I mean, Jake showed me everything he needed to show me, chasing a guy down 100 yards. That's all I need to know about Jake, to know that he's got the eye of the tiger and he's a competitor and a fighter. And there's no one more disappointed right now than Jake, right, on that pass.
If you watch that highlight, he runs the 100 yards, dives to try and stop to Bowman, who had the interception. Then he rolls over on his back.
Collapses.
And he
right?
puts his hands on his head, on his face mask, and you just know he's sitting there going, what have I done? What just happened? And 63,000 people and then 2.3 million watching on TV are staring at him. I mean,
That's a tough one.
no NIL can offset that grief.
But you have to have Brandon's mentality, right? And
Gotta
then
let
some.
it go and go to the next series, right? Which he did, and they scored, right? They scored a touchdown.
Went
right?
back and
They
tied
went
it.
back and tied it up.
Yeah.
They did do, and you've got to be able to do that. And players that can't do that can't play.
Right.
You just can't play, because there's failure in every sport. We had Wally Joyner on here last week, and he talked about how many times you go up to bat and don't connect with a ball, and you better have a really short memory and act like that's an aberration, even though it's 3/4 of the time,
Right.
to be able to play the game, and that happens in football. And you're a psychologist. How do players plant that in their mind so they can do that, so they can move on from failure?
I think that they have a different gear. Don't you think that they're wired a little bit different, and that's why they're there where they are? It's incredible that they can shift gears so quickly, and if they have the capacity and they've been taught the right way, they're able to let it go and move on. I know I always played in high school. When I played, I always was playing under the pressure of, if I mess up once, I'm out of here. And there's got to be some type of coaching where they know that, okay, if we've heard all the Lavelle stories. You've experienced it, Blaine, right? Where you throw the interception and Lavelle's right over there telling you, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Go back in. And then Steve Young throws, 5 more the same game and becomes one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen.
I think we documented that Steve threw 6 in that Georgia game
Georgia.
that we played when we played them back there.
Who are you starting on Saturday if they're both healthy? Keaton Slovis or Jake Retzlaff?
I'm starting Jake.
Starting Jake?
Just-
because...
Mobility, right?
Okay.
Jake gives us that extra dimension and that competitive fire. Jake wants to come out. He has something to prove against Oklahoma State, and I have a feeling that he's going to do it.
What's the first play call you're going to make now
First
that
play
you're calling
call?
the shots? Are you having him go deep? Are you going to have him hand it to Robbins? Or are you going to have him throw a short out? What are you going to do?
Let's go stop and go. A little stop and go on the right side.
Oh,
Okay.
Uh,
Get him calmed down a little bit.
yeah. Get our wonderful number 2 out there to just dive and stretch out a little bit. And,
Chase
get
Roberts.
Chase out there.
Is Chase one of your favorite students?
Chase was great. Chase was quiet.
He's been on the show. He's just sharp.
Yeah.
I just love him.
One of my favorites was Taki Taki.
Sione.
Taki. He'd walk in and we would all say Taki as loud as we could. But there was a girl in the class that he flirted with all the time, and they're married today. So.
Oh, yeah?
That's awesome. Sione wore my number.
Yeah.
And so right off the bat, I was just like, oh, okay, dude.
Rep it well.
If you're going to wear 16, and then you got to represent it, right? And so then we had this thing through the last 3 years of his career where he would always go like, he'd see me and he'd go like this. And he would say, I got you, like 1-6, let's go. And I'd go 1-6. So I still call him, even though he doesn't wear that number in the NFL, can't wear that number in the NFL. Every time I see him, I'm like, let's go 1-6.
That's right.
So we have that.
Let's dive into your profession for a second. It's Thanksgiving week, perfect time to create lasting memories. What are some of the best ways you've learned to maximize these moments? You and your wife, Janie, have 8 kids, lots of grandkids. So what do you suggest to Cougar Nation? How can they maximize some togetherness time on Thursday?
Yeah, I think you just said it, by togetherness, right? I love it. Thanksgiving has become one of our favorite times of the year, right? Sometimes it's bypassed. We have such a huge Halloween emphasis on our
Love
state.
Halloween, everything about it.
And then we get to Christmas pretty quickly, but what a great time to focus with our family on gratitude, on our blessings, on all the wonderful things that we have in our life. And I know for Janie and I, this was a process as we thought about traditions, because sometimes you can go through that whole Thanksgiving experience and realize we didn't even really talk about our blessings or what we're grateful for. So we really have tried to make that a huge part of our day and experience. And of course, any kind of family togetherness, any type of bonding that can occur through experiences, stories, memories. This is the time to pull all those out.
Hey, our friend Eric Waite says, shout out to Mark from Singapore. Good to see you on the show.
I just read the rest
Maybe
of
you
this.
can provide some free counseling to Dave and Blaine after the show.
Yes.
Thank you, Eric.
Tell Eric we've got that set up. And I feel bad because for Eric, it's probably, 3 in the morning right now?
It might be, or even
Hey,
later.
we have people that watch from the Philippines and watch from Singapore down in
So we're
Colombia
all over the world
every
tonight.
week. And guess what? We already get free counseling from.
Yeah. Hey, let's follow up what you just said
Yeah.
with the tougher question. And let's say things aren't perfect around the house, but you want to make them better. And this is a great week to do it. Where do you start?
Start slow, right? Start easy. I mean, once again, everything that we've just talked about are things that anyone could really do, right? To have a conversation about what's good about your life, what you love about life, what's been good this year, what's your highlight this year, what are some of the things that you're grateful for? But I think those conversations could occur in any family, regardless of how dysfunctional it might be. And once again, just spending time together, putting phones away. We were at a restaurant about a few years ago, and we sat next to a family. Every single member of the family, teenagers, parents, they were all on their phones. They never said a word at all. And so I would say, put your phones away and connect, talk, share memories.
A phone-free Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah.
I
Free
love
Thanksgiving.
this. Hey,
We've got a phone
You know
basket.
it's a problem when you're sitting with your kids and you go, who are you even texting? Be with who you're with. And they're like, I'm texting Kellen. He's right.
He's right there across the table.
I have an idea. Why don't you guys talk to each other? You don't need to text him. But
Totally.
Dr. Mark Ogletree, that's on with us tonight. In addition to teaching at BYU, you work part-time as a marriage counselor at Treehouse Associates in Utah County. You and your wife also have a podcast.
We do.
Dave's been on that podcast, hasn't he?
Dave was,
So-
he was.
I took the podcast to the brink of
it's kind like,
extinction.
wow, I heard that. I'm like, wow, they're getting deep with some stuff here now. It's called Preserving Families. And you can download that for free, right? Wherever you get your podcast, it's on Apple and Spotify and all those, right?
Right.
In addition, you love the game of football. We know that. But your life's passion has been helping people and helping couples and helping families. And so folks, if you're out there, Preserving Families, you can find it. And you guys are doing this. How often are you doing the podcast now?
We do. We release an episode every week.
Every week.
Yeah. So you bet. Here to hopefully provide tools, skills, information that could just help parents and couples, grandparents even, just strengthen and preserve their families. President Kimball said years ago that the time would come when only those who believe deeply and actively in the family would be able to preserve their families. And I think we're living in that day.
All right, let's talk football.
Let's go.
Okay, we've covered all the important things, but there's a triple header on Thursday, probably 4 if you watch the college game, but our focus is on Saturday afternoon, BYU and Oklahoma State. You're the analyst now. What do the Cougars need to do to to win and get bowl eligible.
As you guys know, we have to hold on to the ball, right?
Yeah.
We have to hold on to the ball. And then I would love to see us do this. I'm just thinking offensively. I think defenses, they'll do their thing, but let's be more creative and less predictable. And I think, you go back to the old days with Lavelle in the 1970s, and we were just tricky. And I think in order to compete with these big, huge, fast people that we're up against now, we're going to have to do some things differently.
Out scheme them and out execute them.
How about another Kingston touchdown pass? He's got two. That surprises the defense every time he throws it.
Sure.
That would be nice.
What score do you think? What's the winning score?
45-40.
Oh, wow. That many points.
Yeah. Now, if the defense gets given up 40 points, are you still...
I'm okay.
You're okay with that?
You're okay. Well, and
it's going to be a shootout, don't you think?
Yeah, Oklahoma State is...
High potent offense.
They're above 100 in total defense, and so is BYU.
Yeah,
why not a shootout?
And so why not?
I'm telling you, I'm going
I don't think
outside the box on this whole
I don't
thing.
think BYU's rank on offense is representative of who they just became last week.
Yeah.
So I think they're better than their rank. I think they're similar to Oklahoma State. I like this. I think it could be high scoring and be really fun.
Got to go with the Cougs. I mean, this is it, right? We're fighting for a bowl game here, so
let's go.
And there would be nothing better to go in there and spoil the Cowboys' shot at the Big 12.
Sure.
And another shot at Texas, who's leaving. I mean, everything that they've dreamed of is right here, and BYU can take it away on Saturday afternoon with one more point.
BYU
than
just
those
proved that
guys.
they can play with Oklahoma. If you could play with Oklahoma, you could play with Oklahoma State, right?
Hey, Austin, and by the way, Mark's podcast, we put the link in the chat here so that people can click on that and get to the podcast. And Austin Lee says he's listening from Dallas in Big 12 country.
All right.
Is this the Austin Lee that was BYU's free safety a few years ago? That'd be same Austin Lee or just the same name?
I don't know.
I think Austin Lee was one of the greatest free safeties we've ever had, but he's also my son-in-law that works for JP Chase.
That's a different one. That's a different one. Okay.
McKinney, Texas. How many Cougar fans are in McKinney, Texas?
There's a lot. There is a lot. I mean, as you know, the team travels well. McKinney, Texas is a little melting pot for LDS people. And so there's a nice sized stake there. There's about 8 or 9 wards now in that area, in a really compact, compressed area. A lot of LDS people. You have a game anywhere in that Dallas, Oklahoma area, they're all going to travel, and they're so into it.
Well, so you think Texas will migrate up to this Oklahoma State game then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of BYU fans. We're going to talk with the alumni chair here in just a bit.
Stillwater. So that'd be fun.
They're expecting a big crowd.
It's supposed to be a great environment there. I've been to most of the stadiums in the country and either broadcast games or done something there. I've never been to Stillwater for a game, but I heard it's a phenomenal environment.
When you drive to Stillwater, you're going to feel like you're a cowboy driving through across the range for a while. Then all of a sudden, there it is.
Okay.
Our friend Mark Ogletree is on the Wise Guys. You ready for 5 questions?
Oh, I've been studying for this.
No, you can't study for this. Like Libby,
he just knows what's coming.
Like Brenda told Libby that she's going to give 5 questions. She goes, "What are they?" I go, "I'm not telling you this." And you already know the questions. Well, we may have given you a couple.
Hey, I'm such a fan. I don't miss
He's
one of
all
your
in on
episodes.
this.
Okay, so we're going to start with your favorite sports movie.
Really tough. I like every sports movie because that's one of my favorite type of movie. But Brian's Song was the original. You watch Brian's Song in 3rd grade and you just try not to cry in front of your family.
I would still cry if I watched it tonight. I would cry.
Yeah. I grew up on Rocky, but I'll go with Brian's Song.
That's a good one.
Love it.
All right.
Okay, your favorite singer or band?
I'm just going to go with Brooks and Dunn. I'm a Texan.
That makes sense.
They got a
We'll
lot
just
of
stay with
great
Brooks
songs.
and Dunn.
Brooks and Dunn.
It's interesting about Brooks and Dunn because for the longest time they didn't like each other, and they wouldn't even deal with each other until they came on stage. Then they'd go back to their trailers and stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny how when you learn things about artists, you're like, hey, you know what? That band's got a lot of issues, but when they start playing their songs, we're all in.
They make magic happen.
They got some great stuff.
I got a new band for all of you. It's called The Moss. It's a local band. It's like the next Imagine Dragons or Neon Trees. So I'm telling you.
The Moss?
I said it here on the show. The Moss is going to be big.
It grows on you, the Moss?
I'm looking forward to it.
Local kids, some BYU guys,
So the Moss Pit, right?
The Moss.
The Moss.
So, okay.
It's better than the Muss.
Check them out, you guys. Your favorite breakfast cereal?
Golden Grams.
Golden Grams.
I could do corn checks with blueberries occasionally, but Golden Grams.
I have to say, when parents
Golden
have
Grams
their
good.
kids in church and they bring a little Ziploc of Golden Grams, I sometimes want to steal some from the kids.
Yeah, I've done
because
it.
they're good without milk.
I had some graham crackers the other day. That's a totally underappreciated cracker.
so great.
It really
I
is.
can eat a whole little whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Just sitting there, and if you have some milk to dip them in,
They're great.
And they're good for you. I mean, they really are.
Okay.
This feels like this should be.
Favorite Brandon Ogletree play of all time.
Favorite Brandon Ogletree play.
See, we're throwing a few curveballs.
Yeah, no, this is a good one. The tight end, and I don't remember who they were playing, but the tight end is going across the middle of the field. Mm-hmm. This is going to be kind of the game is on the line. Brandon comes across and just busts him in the chops and levels him just as he catches the ball. And that's Brandon. Trademark Brandon is just that hard hit that just wipes someone out.
Did you play football when you were younger?
I did.
What position did you play?
I played wide receiver on a team who never threw the ball.
Oh, wow.
So like playing for Air Force?
Yeah.
Hit a block.
Now, so where did Brandon get his, I want to say craziness, but I'm going to call it toughness.
Yeah.
Where did he get that middle linebacker vibe growing up?
I'm gonna say it this way. First of all, I think Brandon was just born that way.
Yeah.
I mean, from the day that he could walk. I mean, that's just how he always has been. We tried to instill that in our family and talk about it a lot. Believe it or not, when I played like Brandon. The only difference is I was playing second base, but I was trying to have a collision anytime I could.
So he gets that want for physical contact.
Just to crash into someone.
He gets that naturally.
So big hit over the middle.
Okay, last one. This is a good one. What's your favorite thing about Thanksgiving?
Being with our family, no question about it. Just being together and having fun, laughing hysterically. Last year at Thanksgiving, we had a PowerPoint night. Everyone had to come
and bring a PowerPoint
and create a PowerPoint to instruct us in something, and it was incredible. My PowerPoint was on all the money that our kids owed me for the things they broke during their childhood. Another son-in-law taught us how to build a nuclear bomb. I mean, it was we had everything, recipes.
My goodness,
it was fun.
We loved it when our parents caught the vision of, you know what, let's schedule dinner around the Cowboys game, which is the second game of the day. We'd all wait for the Lions game to end so the Cowboys would come on to play Washington like they're playing on Thursday. And nothing takes me back more than that matchup on Thanksgiving with your brothers and sisters around.
I don't think I've ever missed a Cowboys game at Thanksgiving since I was probably in first grade. Yeah, that's going to be part of the day for sure.
Yeah, and Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday, which, and the reason is because it's just all about family, but it doesn't feel like it has the pressure of Christmas, the gift giving. Yeah. And Christmas should be my favorite holiday because of what it celebrates, right? The birth of the Savior. And we try to focus on that. But there's so much noise around Christmas and the gift giving and all of that stuff. I feel like Thanksgiving is a pure holiday. We just give thanks and get together as family and eat food. Could there be a better holiday than that? It's my favorite holiday.
It's one of the best, that's for sure.
Mark Ogletree, thanks for coming on The Wise Guys. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and I know you're off to spend the rest of the week with your family, and we're glad that you carved out a couple minutes for us.
So good to be with you all. Love you guys and love what you do. It's for a lifelong Cougar fan, this is awesome to be with you and to sit in this
we
chair.
love having you on.
Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving.